Howdy y'all, what's up? Welcome back. We're looking at Americans living abroad. First time you realized America really messed you up. And this is from a channel called TikTok News. We're going to get right into it. Let me just preface like I do with these videos. I am a proud American. I was born here. I've been raised here. And it is a great place for many reasons, right? It's a beautiful place, tons of amazing, real people. But yeah, there's a lot of problems here, and for being the richest countries in the world, there is some shortfalls that are kind of mind-blowing. So I'm a realist, but I also realize that it is a great place, but it is so far from the best place in the world. Not even close. Here we go.
One time that made you realize that America really messed you up.
It's not current, but when I was studying in the UK, one day I really needed to see a doctor. But I didn't know how to access care. I didn't know what my insurance situation was like, so I just went to work. And eventually I was in so much pain that I burst into tears, and my boss pulled me aside. And he was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "I really need to see a doctor, but I don't know how to access care here. I don't know if I can afford it." And he was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Go down the street to the hospital." And I argued with him, and he was like, "No, just trust me. Just go to the hospital." So I went.
Right away, she reveals that she's an American, right? Because she's working through pain or feeling sick, whatever the case is, right? That's a sad reality. That is true, right? Healthcare here is just so expensive, and that's the American way. You got to work through it. At least that's what's in some people's mind. That's just pretty messed up. I'll admit it.
And I was like clutching my student ID in my hand, my passport, and I was like trying to remember how much I had in my bank account, like checking. And I got called back to the doctor. He was like, "Yep, this is what's wrong with you. Pick up your prescription on the way out." And I was like, "I'm sorry, do you know how much it's going to be?" And he said, "I don't know, maybe 8 pounds. I was like, "I'm sorry, 8?
Hella cheap.
He's like, "Yeah, I don't think it's ever more than that." The receptionist kept laughing at me because I didn't feel comfortable leaving without paying somebody. And I kept asking if I owed anybody any money.
Well, yeah, in her defense, she's so used to the American way of that thing of healthcare, right? So yeah, that one is really messed up. I totally agree with that. And because, your health, we're human beings. Like, your health is kind of the most important thing ever, right? Your health should never bankrupt you, right?
An American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize?
I am back for round 2 on this one. So I just moved to Italy with my boyfriend who is Italian. We're watching a movie the other day where somebody is running away and they get...
This is not my merch, by the way.
And I'm like, you know what? That's their fault. They didn't run in a zigzag. That's like the first thing they teach you, to run in a zigzag.
Oh my God, are they getting shot at?
He pauses the movie. And he looks at me and he goes, "Who taught you that?" And I'm like, teachers, adults, parents, they teach you when you're young to run in a zigzag if somebody is pointing a gun at you.
Oh my God.
The sinking feeling
that is hella American.
When I realized that nobody ever had to teach him that when he was young. Because that's not a problem here.
Ouch. Oh man.
Living abroad.
Ouch.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Oh, I've got a couple. So I'm from Los Angeles and now I live in Austria. And basically when I first started working here, they were like, you get 25 days vacation, Fridays off early, and if you're sick, don't come into work. And I was just like, I was floored. Because in the
That sounds amazing, but you know what? It's really not amazing, right? It's logical. It's actually amazing that that's not standard in America. Ugh.
US, you only get 10 days vacation and 5 sick days, and you don't get Fridays off early.
Even that's generous. Dang. And yeah, you don't get Fridays off early. You got to stay late, and you got to work Saturday too.
Days off early. You better work your ass until it's 9 p.m. On top of all of that, all my friends here have 2 masters, 3 PhDs, etc., 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 because education here is actually free. Amazing. What an amazing concept.
Hey, shout out to the beautiful state of New Mexico. Yes, here in the U.S., where we're at right now, education at the college level, the university level, all the way through is free. That's right. You can go to any university here in New Mexico at some of the top engineering schools in the country for free. They're thinking ahead here, but yes, most states, university is extremely expensive.
In addition, I have yet to see a large homeless community out in the open here in Austria because the government actually offers some social support. A lot of social support. In LA, you have villages, streets, blocks full of homeless people because our government doesn't care about us.
I'm going to only partially disagree. I wouldn't even say disagree. I'm just in the middle. And by the way, I'm not an expert. I'm definitely not a politician. And I don't have the answer for a lot of things. But homelessness is a problem in the U.S. It's very sad. And I know it can be a problem in other countries too. That's not act like it's unique to America. But I think it's more pronounced in America because in big cities, it's a really big problem. And, the United States has so many people, right? For example, I know a lot about Australia. I have an amazing Australian community on this channel. And the, contiguous 48 states, the mainland U.S. and Australia are roughly the same size, both really big. But Australia only has like 25 million people around there. And the U.S. has 330 million. So yeah, like 25 million, 335, whatever, 330. It's a big difference. And I'm not singling anyone out. I'm just using it as a base comparison. So obviously, I think you're going to have more homeless people in America just by the math. I also realize it is a workplace problem, right? There's so much money in America, but a lot of people, especially recently, even compared to the 90s, cannot afford to live basically. Like they can barely afford housing or an apartment, let alone the cost of living is just super high. So it is a big problem, but it's also a bigger problem in bigger cities. There's a lot of medium or like small towns or medium cities in America that are really nice and clean and don't have a lot of homeless. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I just thought I'd throw that in there, but we'll get back to it. Thank you for letting me rant a little bit.
Measure their worth off the car they drive.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I'm from LA and I moved to Singapore. And before coming here, I asked all my friends if I should bring anything like, a pepper spray just in case anything happens. And they were like, yeah, no, that's like actually illegal. I don't think that they're allowed to have any kind of weapon.
Even pepper spray?
And I was like, what? We literally put them in our...
I suggest anyone, even man or woman, to carry at least pepper spray or something in America. That's what we're used to. Like, you should have something on you just in case. That's wild to think, like, oh, you can't have anything on you. That's so, not American, right? That's so different. But also the fact that, some places are extremely safe where you don't really need a weapon.
And I was like, what?
It's a nice thought, okay? That's a nice thought. I'm just not used to it.
We literally put them in our keychains as accessories.
Yeah.
Like, how do you defend yourself? They were like, from what? You don't have to. It's so safe.
Wow.
I was like, no way. So I Googled it, and no one is allowed to use greater force than necessary to defend themselves.
Oh, my God.
The U.S. can't ban guns, but Singapore can ban pepper sprays?
Abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up? I'll go.
When I had my first child, we were stationed overseas in Germany. And at that point, I'd been a nurse for about 5 years. And I had a C-section. So day 3, after I delivered, I was packing up my stuff and getting the baby ready to go home. And the German nurse walked in and looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm packing to go home." And she said, "Nein, you're not going home. You just had major surgery. We have physical therapy coming to see you. And dinner is on its way up. And if you'd like, I can call down and have them bring up some beer. But you need to rest."
Hey, that sounds good. That sounds logical. After you had surgery, you need some time to recover. And you need some therapy going on, right?
And I thought, yeah, I did have major surgery. I do need to rest. And they kept me for another week until I was ready to go home and I could take care of everything on my own.
That's really nice. I applaud that. Again, not always, but most of the time, yeah, if you're injured and you get surgery or you get some sort of operation done, you got to get back to it, man, or else you ain't getting paid. Right? It's rough. It's rough, man. You better hustle in America, otherwise you're falling behind.
And currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I live in Paris, and 2 months ago I got hit by a taxi relatively hard. I fell down on the street. All these people came and they picked me up. They brought me over to a bench. Someone from a restaurant brought me a glass of water.
That sounds
Another
not
woman
fun.
gave me a handful of coins, and I was like, "I don't need your money. It's okay." And she was like, "Sweetheart, this is your money. It fell out of your pockets when you got hit by the taxi." And I was like, Sonic the Hedgehog vibes, great. The man who hits me goes to call the ambulance, and I said, stop. Do not call the ambulance. That will cost me $3,000 to $5,000 because that's what an ambulance costs in America.
Right.
And he was like, what are you talking about? An ambulance is €7. I was like, oh my God. Remind me to squish my ankle on the way home from the club, and they'll give me an IV so I'll come over the next day? Catch me at the hospital. This is lit.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So my first year here in Paris, I was an au pair, and I got really sick during the winter. It was bronchitis, and I couldn't breathe. I was coughing a lot. I was trying to avoid going to the emergency room as much as possible because in the U.S. it's very, very expensive.
American thinking.
There was one night where I really couldn't hold out any longer, so I drove to the emergency room, and when I was there, they gave me a nebulizer, and then they wanted to give me chest x-rays. And I was like, listen, can we please not do the chest x-rays? I'm fine, let's just go. And the doctor looked at me and she was like, why don't you want to do these? You have to do them, you could have damage. And I said, well, I don't have any money, I'm not going to be able to afford it. And she looked at me and she was like, it's covered with Social Security. So I was like, oh, okay.
Damn.
And then instead of having to book a whole another appointment and wait forever for the results, we walked down the hall, we took the chest x-rays, I had the results in 5 minutes. I paid €12 and then I was reimbursed 3 days later.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize...
I mean, what can I say? I mean, these are adding up, right? Similar stories, especially around the healthcare topic. It is just heavily flawed here, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's very expensive, and it sucks. I'm just telling you. It just costs too damn much. I know the healthcare here generally is rated pretty good. It is good care, but damn, is it expensive. It's just such a shame. And what's even harder than the fact that your health costs so much here, what's even harder than that is the irony, because it is the richest country in the world, the United States. Why is something as vital as your health so expensive? I'll agree. It's messed up. I don't know what else you want me to say. It sucks.
America really messed you up.
So I started my new job in the Netherlands. This was 3 years ago.
Not my
merch. I was
merch.
going through the company policy the first week. And I got to the section about leave. And they have a holiday leave, like PTO. And then they had sick leave in 2 different areas. And I was reading about sick leave. And I turned to my coworker and I was like, I don't understand. Like, it talks about like the requirements for sick leave and like doctor notes like after 3 days. But how many sick days do we get a year? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how many are they? It doesn't say.
Right.
She's like, it's just if you're sick, you're out. I'm like, I don't understand. She's like, it's unlimited. It's just if you're sick, you take a sick day. She was confused. I was shocked. There's a moment I realized we're fucked up in America and how we deal with people being sick with work.
Because isn't that just logic? If you're sick, you are out. And when you're better, you go back to work. No one wants to be sick. Being sick is not fun. No one is like, haha, I'm going to skip work. Like, no, they're sick. They're not skipping work. They're sick. When you're sick, you cannot do your job to your best ability. You can get other people sick. It's a really bad snowball effect of bad things. You should always stay home when you're sick. And no one chooses it. That's life. There's some things in life that are just out of control, that are out of any of our control. So we're human beings. We're organisms. Sometimes we can get sick, and then we need time to recuperate so we can get better and get back at it. And yeah, the fact that pretty much everywhere in the U.S. always has a finite amount of sick days, that doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't make sense. If you have 5 sick days for a whole year, what if you get sick like 7 different times? That's very possible. You're screwed, right? Like, what is up with that? It's crazy.
Made you realize that America really...
Yeah, so this one hit me pretty hard. It was one of the first dates I ever had in Germany with my boyfriend, and he wanted to take me on a nature walk. Well, it was a beautiful day, and we went on this beautiful trail, but it ended out leading up to somebody's field, like a farmer's field. Okay. And I absolutely wanted nothing to do with that. I said, nope, that's it, we're going home, I'm not doing that. And
this is another totally could tell she's American, right? Because I bet she's scared. Like, uh-oh, I'm trespassing on a farmer's field. Someone's going to be really mad. They're going to call the cops, or they're just going to take it into their own hands, and they're going to have a shotgun.
And he kind of was persistent and saying, like, why? And I was like, are you crazy? They're going to shoot us. I was pretty new to Germany, so I didn't really understand how things worked yet. But I did grow up in rural Western New York, where if you trespass on somebody's property, their woods or their field, there's a good chance that you'd be shot and killed. My next door neighbors would get blackout drunk and then...
I'd like to say she's exaggerating. I mean, I'm sure they'd warn you first, but still, yeah, it's you don't want to be trespassing too much on random people's property,
start shooting
especially
off their back porch
in the
into
countryside.
The wilderness. And he stopped me and said, nobody shoots trespassers here. Why would they do that? Even if they're trespassing, like, that's so overdramatic. And it hit me how normalized that was for me growing up, that I could potentially die going for a walk.
Americans currently living abroad. What is one...
Damn, when she puts it like that, wow, that hits hard. Alrighty, y'all. That's going to be it for this one. That is Americans Living Abroad. First time you realize America really messed you up. Again, this will be TikTok news, linked in the description down below if you would like to check it out in its entirety, because I did skip around a little bit, and you can watch it uninterrupted down there. So tell me what you thought down below. These videos are really doing well. I appreciate you guys' views and comments, and give me more suggestions on stuff like this. I would like to see flip side too. Like I've done other ones I'll have linked at the end. Make sure you check out the end screen, you know, of like dumb things Americans said. Those are really funny. I'll probably do some more of those. They're really funny. But I also like to see maybe dumb things other areas of the world said. You know, maybe so they don't know something about America or whatever, right? It's funny. It can go... It can happen anywhere. But yes, America's a great place. I do love it here, but I do want to travel more and see other ways of life. That's what makes the world go round, is we all have our own flair. Every country has its own way, its own flavor. And some places do some things really well, and some places have some shortfalls in certain categories. America's no different. I know the rest of the world knows that, but a lot of Americans aren't so realistic. They are very patriotic, which is a good thing. I mean, you want to have pride in your country, but man, do some of them think America is the best and everywhere else sucks. That is not true at all. Not true. But yeah, I will see you down in the comments. Please throw a thumbs up and a like on this video, because it will help it out. I greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, if you enjoyed this. We have an excellent community here. You can be part of it. And of course, never miss another great video again. And with that being said, y'all, my name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, I'll catch you later.